Why did we go with a commercial window on this all wood barn? Let's find out today on Smith House. Howdy y'all, it's Jordan Smith. We are out here at Monarch Woods again in this beautiful all timber barn. The design aesthetic on it when we designed it was we wanted all of the structural members to be expressed in the barn. So you've got these tremendous Doug fir columns hitting a Doug fir beam, and then the whole thing is wrapped in a southern yellow pine. Up top we have a tongue and groove southern yellow pine decking, a 1x6 decking, and then down the sides we have a CDX plywood. The idea is that it would just be like an old-timey barn where you built it out of wood, but fast forward to 2022 where you're using more modern materials, but you still get all of the great benefits of natural wood. You have the carbon sequestering, you have just that warm feel that I really like with wood. I think it looks a lot better than what you normally see around here, which is a steel barn with your R panel or your U panel. It's fine, that's okay, but it doesn't look nearly as good, in my opinion, as this all wood version. You notice that these windows match the same 4x8 cutouts as the girders and plywood. So the idea is that we have these 4x8 sheets of plywood, 4x8, 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 and then window, 4x8, 4x8, window. So these windows are the exact size of our plywood, but I didn't want there to be a lot of trim work on the inside. I wanted it to be super simple and clean on the inside. And so we went back and forth, do we go with a flanged window on the outside? How do we terminate all of that? It was during the peak of COVID when we were looking at all this stuff. Window prices and lead times were crazy long. And so then we started looking at commercial, and we ended up going with this commercial system for two reasons. One, the price point wasn't really that much different. It is more expensive than a comparable fiberglass window. This is all aluminum inside and outside. So the price is more expensive, but the lead time is just so incredibly short. We're able to get this stuff bought, basically off the shelf. The glazers come out, cut it to size. We can be any size that we want, and then they get their glass manufactured, and they'll be putting that in here in a couple of weeks. So the lead time went from, we were getting lead times of anywhere from 20 weeks out to 45 weeks, which is nuts. This is a matter of days by the time you place the order, as long as you get in their schedule, right? It takes longer than that to actually get them out here, but it's just a scheduling conflict at that point. It's not actually a materials getting it all built up in Wisconsin or wherever you're getting this thing built and shipped down. This is a local glazier that cuts it to size and orders their glass and installs it in a much shorter time frame. Let me walk through the design here. This is a thermally broken window. So we have aluminum on the outside, the exterior, we have aluminum on the inside, and in between we have a polymer adhesive that joins the two together. So as the outside heats up or cools down, depending on the weather, it's not transferred into the inside. So we've got a thermally broken window, and it's not pulling all of that heat, in our case, or if you live up north, cold, into your building. The other thing that's nice about this is the integrated window pan here. So this is installed, we have the window and the pan both installed, and you see how they go together. You have your window, you have your pan, and it fits just like that together. So none of this, normally we really have to stress how we're doing the pans to make sure that you don't have, there's two types of windows, Stebrick says, windows that leak and windows that will, right? So we're assuming that this window will eventually leak, but because this pan is an integrated pan, we don't have to do a lot of work building a custom metal pan. We are still obviously taping all of our lumber underneath even this pan, just because we want to be tying our WRB from the outside all the way into the inside of the cavity, but we're not having to manufacture our own pan. This comes straight from the manufacturer and it goes together and is super clean. And then this pan is actually drilled on the outside, drilled on either side once it's in place to allow weep holes that if this leaks, gets down into the pan, it finds itself back out in front of our WRB. Really slick system. The drawbacks to it, other than cost, it's going to be more expensive. The sight lines are large. So in this case right here, we've got about a 2.5 inch, maybe closer to 3 inch piece of aluminum that is just it's a big piece of aluminum. If this wasn't a 4 foot by 8 foot window, it would be too much, I think. As they get smaller, it gets to be a lot. Not so much from the outside, because we're going to integrate this all with our metal siding. We'll do more videos on the outside once the metal starts going up. So I'm not so concerned about the outside, but from the inside, it just starts becoming a lot as that window gets smaller. How we are combating this on the main house is we'll actually have a trim package that will take most of this out. You won't see most of this once it's all installed because we are trimming and we are making these sight lines look smaller than they actually are. In the barn, however, this is practically finished. We still have one piece of black aluminum trim that will cover this gap right here that will go all the way around. So we will be putting one more piece of small trim there. From your perspective, it won't look any different than it looks now. It probably just looks black to this piece of lumber here, and that's what it will look like when it's finished. The idea is that all of the structure of the building is expressed. As they say, the easier it is to draw, the harder it is to build. So when you do something where basically you've got a 2x8 girder and then plywood and then your WRB, trying to make it look all clean from the inside without any trim is tricky, but I think that we're pulling it off great. What do you think? Put your comments below. Any questions, comments, concerns, put them below. I'll try to get to them. Like the video, subscribe if we've earned it. Go check us out over on Instagram, TikTok, wherever your favorite social media hours are wasted. And we'll see you next time on Smith House.